something that I thought was quite amusing. I saw an article come up from the guys at PRS and Guitar World, and in it, apparently, Paul Reed Smith quite often is found to be saying, "This is our time." And I kind of wanted to explore in this video a little bit why I think maybe it is time that PRS started to, I don't know, step forward even more into being like not a bad choice at all in terms of gear for students and even gear for the professional musician, and no longer, in my eyes, particularly even suited to dentists.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
I think for me, my feeling with the PRS brand at the moment is that actually across basically their whole range, they're making some really fantastic guitars. I got the chance to try the CE24 Satin. I'm not being sponsored by PRS on any of the stuff. They sent me that guitar to check out, and then it went back to them. They sent me the PRS CE24 Sandblasted to check out. So those are two guitars that are at the sort of like Mexican Fender sort of price range. Equally, you've got the Silver Sky SEs now, which I've played a few of those. And at that end of the market, I think PRS have a really kind of quality offering. I also tried the PRS SE hollow body, which I think is made in China rather than Indonesia. But one of the things that Paul has kind of said is that it shouldn't really matter too much where a guitar is made. And it's refreshing to hear, a guy that owns a US factory saying that in some ways, because I think it's the sentiment that quite a lot of us guitar players have maybe had for a while. Like, actually, it's more important like what the specs that go into a guitar build are, things like the neck shape, things like the choices around frets that they put on a guitar, and then of course the really nitty gritty attention to detail, how much time actually goes into setting up an instrument and getting it to your door like in half decent shape. I think those are the things that can kind of separate the good from the bad more than anything else. And there's no reason necessarily that a guitar that is made well in Indonesia or Japan or China or Mexico or America, like there should be good examples from everywhere, and there'll probably be bad examples from everywhere as well. But the main thing that I see that is making the difference, in my opinion, is that you've got people like Philip Sayce, John Mayer, Mark Lettieri, who've jumped over to the PRS brand, and I'm sure there must be some other examples that you could leave in the comments if you want. But people that, in many ways, I think if Fender kind of had their stuff together in terms of artists, they'd probably be playing Fender guitars still. So like John Mayer fell out with Fender to some extent, and then PRS was actually more willing to collaborate with him on whatever the things that he wanted to do with the Strat were, apparently. I'm sure that's been a fruitful relationship for both John Mayer and PRS in terms of, I think it's one of the most successful guitars in recent history, right? I think. Then, and especially the SE version, that must sell like something that sells a lot. And then someone like Mark Lettieri, who's a far less polarizing figure than John Mayer, who has his own signature, like it seems like a really sound dude. And the fact that he's chosen to go with PRS, I think is interesting because he's quite a big figure in the online guitar space, as well as being a super tasty player. And likewise, Philip Sace, who I think had a falling out with Fender. Essentially, they copied his mother guitar and then sold a few custom shop versions of that without his permission. I think that's what happened. If you check his Facebook and stuff, you can go back and see the detail on that, which I think is a bit of a shady move. But Philip Sace, now you can see him occasionally playing an SVL, which is a UK, Simon Law makes these really tasty kind of Strat type guitars. You sometimes see him playing his, pre-CBS Strats, and then you sometimes see him playing a PRS Silver Sky. You obviously in the comments of those find people kind of deriding the Silver Sky in general. My buddy Rob Harris from Jamiroquai, I think before he got his signature guitar, which looks super nice as well, was playing a Silver Sky quite often and a DGT quite often. So I think they are becoming a little bit more accepted. I think there was one at the Super Bowl this year or last year, but it's kind of, I think, sort of catching on because they're not priced as high as a custom shop Strat, and I think they're actually, for me, pretty ideal spec. I'm not the biggest John Mayer fan, as if you've seen any of these videos previously, you probably noticed, but it's actually like a really respectable guitar for the money. I'm finding myself picking it up more than my K-lines quite often. There's something really slinky about the feel to it. I really love the 7.25 radius. I've got 9.5 D'Addario coated strings on it at the moment, XS, and it just feels amazing to play, and I'm really liking the tones from it. There's everything about it I kind of like, except for the John Mayer connection pretty much, and maybe it looks a little bit more plasticky than a vintage Strat might, or a custom shop Strat. But frankly, for the £1,000 less than you might pay for a Silver Sky versus a Fender custom shop, I think you actually get really good value for money with the Silver Sky, in my opinion, and especially if you can find one used. So this is a 2021 model that came up used, that we got for £1,100, and it's seen plenty of use, and it's got like some dings and stuff, but actually it's a really, really beautiful guitar to play. So that's kind of my take on it, and why I think it maybe is time for PRS, because what are Fender doing at the moment? They're making lots of acoustasonic type guitars and maybe tinkering about with things, and maybe signature guitars for some players that you might have heard of, and others that, for me personally, I haven't heard of quite a lot of these guys quite a lot of the time. And I also think it's a really, really corporate vibe from Fender, from what you kind of see from them, and likewise with Gibson as well. I've had some very small dealings with Gibson in this country. It's quite a corporate vibe as well, although they have just opened the Gibson garage, which is quite cool, I guess, if you're able to go there and do that sort of stuff. And if you're a Gibson artist, I'm sure it's an amazing company to work for and to be involved with, although again massive, like lots of people. And I think again some of the choices that they're making around guitars, I'm not sure that they necessarily connect with the average player so well. I think it's more like with Fender and Gibson that they're trading on years and years and years of legacy stuff that was done in like the 50s and 60s, versus PRS, who are, of course, taking influence from all of this stuff, but still, I think keeping their prices relatively low versus the old days of PRS being dentist guitars. Now the dentist's axe of choice might be a Fender Custom Shop or Master Built or a Gibson Murphy Lab. So, dentists are moving on. Are you moving on? So yeah, let me know your thoughts on PRS. Is it their time? Would you be caught dead playing one of these? What do you think of having birds all over your fretboard? It's a problem that I've had to deal with. Right, I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers. Oh, in this video I was using the glassy plexi preset from my amps in the room kind of folder if you want to check that out for Helix Native. But yeah, beautiful guitar. I'm going to probably be playing it on Friday, next Friday, because I've got a gig with Jake again. So I'm going to endeavour to try the Silver Sky into the Van Wielden Royal Overdrive into an amp of some kind. It's going to be a proper dentist rig. Cheers for stopping by.